welcome to my journey and to another weigh-in. I want to make this video this morning. I'm not in the mood because I don't like what the scales told me. Wasn't expecting it. Don't think I earned it. But that's how I do things on the scale. A lot of times it's just all or nothing, it seems. You know what I'm saying? So anyway, let's just rip the Band-Aid off. I weighed in at 262.8 for a gain of, hold on to your hats, 7.8. That drops me way down to 114.2. I ain't happy about it. I'm feeling defeated. I know a lot of it's my fault, but I don't think almost 8 pounds is my fault in 1 week. Now, last night we had pizza, and it was unexpected pizza. So I know a portion of that is, sodium. Because I had 2 pieces of pizza and 2 boneless wings, which are like 2 little hunks of fried chicken breast in sauce. So I had 2 of those. Oh, they were good. They were better than the pizza. But what had happened was I was sitting over there and it hit me, like a light switch. I have these sinking spells. I just call them sinking spells. My blood sugar drops, gets all wonky. I feel, Well, I was sitting there and I started feeling shaky. So that's how you get started, right? And then I got hot and I got real weak. The sweat, when I tell you, was dripping off my head and hitting my shoulders. I am not exaggerating. I have never, to my recollection, had a spell like this. I went in there to get me a snack. I said, I need something to eat. And I couldn't hardly walk to go in there. I had to go in there and change my gown because I had my long sleeve gown on. I was about to just pass out from the heat. I could hardly get my gown off because I could hardly stand up. And I got back to my chair and it just kept dripping and I just felt bad and I had my snack and I immediately just passed out. I didn't realize I had fallen asleep until I woke up. And when I woke up, I was spent. It was like I had run a Boston Marathon or something and everything was gone. I didn't have anything left. So I guess it was whatever the sinking spell was. I guess there was adrenaline rushing in, and I passed out. I didn't pass out. I'm saying I fainted. I zonked out, sleeping, and then when I woke up, I just couldn't do anything. And it was about time for me to start cooking, and I just didn't have anything left in me. And we had gotten enough to get a free pizza, and we were going to save it for a weekend, but I'm like, oh, I'm using it tonight because that's the one thing I can get delivered is pizza. So I always get pizza and wings, especially if it's like, I used to get him the pasta, but he don't really like that no more. So that gives him a little something other than just pizza to take to work, you know. So I just had that happen, and it's just one of those things. But that didn't cause me no almost 8 pounds. Now, I will say I'm struggling. I told y'all I'm having a hard time getting back on track. And I am. And I am feeling so defeated. I'm not feeling disappointed in myself. I don't feel like, because I try not to get that way to where I dig at myself. I don't think you should dig at yourself. But I feel defeated in the fact that I can't seem to get it back together in a pile, as my mom would say. I just can't gather it together in a pile. Ever since I was laid up for 3 months and got off track, ate what I want, when I wanted, did not move, just basically for 3 months. There was PT in there, but then I'd come home a lot of the times and still just sit. So there was some movement in that 3 months, but not much, because it was like surgery, lay around, a little bit of PT, surgery, lay around, a little bit of PT. Then I gained that weight. And here, last week I gained some, and I thought, well, surely maybe I'll get it back together and we'll lose some of it this week, because what I had gained over that period of time. And then here I am just piling more on the pile. I said I can't get it together in a pile. Well, I'm piling it on in other ways. And I just tell you, I can typically get myself back together, but I am having the most difficult time, I think, this time of all my times. And I don't know why. I don't know if I'm having I don't want to think that I am, but if I'm having well, I got my knees, now I can relax. I don't know if that's some of it. You know what I mean? That's quite possible. But there's also the part of me that knows I got to keep going. I got to keep going. I can't stop here. I'm got a lot more to go, because I want to feel even better than I do now. So, I don't know. I don't know what to do. I don't know how to get it back together. I don't know how to get it back on track. No. I know how to get it back on track. Let me rephrase that. I do know how to get it back on track. I'm having a hard time doing what I know. And I just can't seem to do it. So anyway, enough of that. I went to the doctor yesterday. I did have some good news. She was happy about my knees. This is my primary care. I was a little behind schedule on her, because my 6 months checkup was right when I was not going to be able to drive. So I had to push it out. And that was the earliest they could get me was yesterday. And that was from December. Or I think I called them. Yeah, I called them in December, I guess. And so this was the earliest they could get me. But I quit taking... I guess you would say I self-medicated. I quit taking my statin. Some of the symptoms that I gave my psychiatrist, my mom was like, when she was on the statin 8 years ago, she felt like me, and she said she told her doctor, and her doctor said, it's the statin. Took her off of it, and she felt a world of difference. I said, well, that's it. I'm going to quit taking it, because I felt like teetotal poop, for lack of words that I really shouldn't say on my YouTube channel. And lo and behold, when I quit taking it, it wasn't long before some of those symptoms subsided. And I started feeling physically better. I still got some things up in this area that we got to work on. But I started feeling better on some of the physical symptoms. And so I told her, I said, I quit taking my statin. She looked at me. I knew she's going to get on me. I knew she was. I know my doctor. I've been with her long enough. I know. You don't quit the medicine without telling me. I'm like, hey, tired of feeling like poop. She goes, well, I'll tell you what. She goes, we'll check your blood in another month. She said it's because it's been about 2 weeks since I've been off of it. She said, then we'll give it another month, and I'll make sure it's out of your system, and we'll do your lipid panel, and we'll see. She said, but that's puts you in a, I don't even know the word I'm looking for a stroke or a heart attack. I said, well, tired of feeling like poop. So we're going to check that. Well, Here's the thing. I was asking her about some of my medications, and I forgot one I meant to ask her about. I forgot it, so I'm going to send her a message. She saw the aspirin, and I was already taking aspirin, and then he doubled it for the surgery for blood clots, right? Well, she said, we don't prescribe aspirin to prevent heart attacks and strokes. She said, we only prescribe it now that we know better after a heart attack or stroke. She says, just quit taking it. You don't need it. So there's that. There's one pill down. I said, well, what about my blood pressure? Because my blood pressure has been low for a year or better, and we already cut it in half, and I'm tired of taking it when I got good blood pressure. She told me how to wean off of it. There's 2 off of me. I said, well, what about my Lasix? That's my fluid pill. Y'all know how the big trouble I have swelling in my legs with the lymphedema. Well, I ain't swelled up in a long time. It's like, especially since I had my knees done, I really don't swell. So I don't know how much of that was true lymphedema or problems from my knees. I don't know. Hold on just a second. A little bit of a tickle going on in there. She goes, how many times are you taking it? And she goes, well, no. She said, you could actually have rebound swelling. So she says, let's get off of that. So she told me how to wean off of that. So there's 3 pills. 1 by my own hands, 3 by hers. And the other one I was going to ask her about was my Lyrica. Because since I've had my knees fixed, I don't have those same feelings in my legs and my feet. Now, it could be doing something I'm not sure of, but I won't know until I quit taking it. And it causes weight gain. So, I'm not saying that's what this week is. I'm just saying, in general, it causes weight gain. And she tells me, she goes, pretty much that's my choice. Do I want weight gain or do I want symptom relief? She tells me. And I said, well, when I come off of it last time, I said, I can't do it. I can't take it no more. I got to get back on it. So I went back on it. So I'm going to message her about that because she had 2 students with her. Oh, my gosh. I know she's sweet. She's sweet, but she's very, she's tough. She ain't big as a minute. Well, she was asking them a question about my statins. Well, whatever the question was. And they kept answering her, no, that's so-and-so. And they would answer her wrong again. No. And she was tough on them 2 girls. I'm going to tell you what. She was tough. And I could tell it had to embarrass them in front of the patient. I could tell. So, but anyway, she's one of those. She always is doing, I guess, I don't know if it would be considered their internship or just a rotation in a class. I don't know. But she's all the time having students with her. So, after that, I didn't get my blood drawn, and then, because she's going to, and then we decided to wait a month. I told her, I said, well, I can't draw today anyway, because I got to go babysit my grandson. Ooh, that's good news today. So Holly had a doctor's telemedicine, and I went down to watch, because Nathan, he works from home some days, but he's in his room working. He can't watch Jacob, and she can't do a doctor visit watching that boy. That she would get nothing accomplished, and that wouldn't be fair to the doctor. So she asked me, would I mind coming down and just playing with him, while she does her doctor. I'm like, no, I will do it anytime you need it. Well, we was in there, and then he seen my phone laying there. He said, watch Momo's phone. I said, you want to watch Momo's phone? He says, yeah. I love how he says, yeah. So he got up there, he got beside me on the couch, and I asked him what he wanted to watch. He wanted to watch Blippi. So we pulled up Blippi. I said, what kind of Blippi? He said, Blippi garbage truck. So we pulled up Blippi garbage truck. We watched that a few times. And then he grabs my phone and turns it up right ways because he knows when we're watching it this way. He turns it up this way because he knows that's where you see the different ones that you scroll. Now, this kid's 2 years old. So I just put it on when you see the things, and he just takes that little finger, does little scrolls. And when he finds what he wants, he just goes, there you go. So we got, and when it comes to ads, he waits until it says skip. Then he hits skip. I don't even have to do that. I'm telling you, these little children, of course, it's the world they're growing into. They have to know this or they will be left behind. This is a computer age, is it not? They have to know this. And Holly's taught him. He's smart. Oh, my gosh. So he was sitting there, and we watched Blippi, Elmo's birthday, surprise birthday party. We watched that several times. And then he started stretching out to, like, lay on my legs down like this, looking at the phone. And he couldn't get his little legs stretched out because I was down at the end. So I said, hold on, let me scoot. So we scooted on down, and he lay down. He was laying across my legs on his belly watching the thing. Well, he wanted to watch Mika. There's a new Blippi, and it's because the original Blippi was having a baby, and he wanted to spend more. I looked it up because I wanted to know. He wanted to have more family time. So he's still working behind the scenes, but there's a new Blippi character. A new dude playing Blippi. Well, now they have a character called Mika. So Mika's on there, and her little colors are purple and yellow. So they're nice and bright. He's light blue and orange. Well, he wanted to watch Mika's brush your teeth. So she has a video. It's her morning routine and her bedtime routine. And it's just singing it. And she sings it over several times. Well, we'd watch it, and he'd stop and watch it again. So we were watching it, and I stare, like I told Holly, I said, I stare at him the whole time I have him. She goes, yeah. You can't help it. You just stare at that little face. And all of a sudden, his lips started quivering. I'm like, oh my gosh. I'm like, are you okay? And he just belts out a squeal. When Holly come back in there, she says she thought he got hurt from the kind of crying he was doing, and he kept on and on. And I was told he wasn't squirming or trying to get away from me, nothing like that. He was just laying. I pulled him up on me. He was just laying there and just crying his heart out, and I was just rubbing his little head, talking to him. And then Nathan, I guess he got off of one of his phone calls because he does IT, and he come in there. He says, "What's wrong, Bubba?" and rubbed him on the head. Well, that got his attention, and he stopped crying. But he didn't get off of me. He just kept laying there. I would look at him. He was just laying there looking at me, not making any facial expressions, not talking back to me, not nothing, just looking at me. So Nathan sat there a couple minutes, and he had to go on back to work. Well, we had already talked about the garden, how we've got, because he likes cherry tomatoes, how we were going to grow some little bitty red tomatoes, and he can go in the garden and eat them. Yeah, oh, he got excited. He was over there talking to Holly about it and grinning and carrying on, and we was, having a good old discussion. Well, he was laying there, he was looking at me, and I thought, well, let me engage, see if I can engage him. And I said, yeah, I said, we're going to have a garden. I said, and you like those little baby red tomatoes? And he says, yeah. So then I had him. We started listing. It didn't matter what kind of food I said. Do you like? Yeah. Yeah. Everything I said. Yeah. 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 So we laid there for the longest time and went through every food you can imagine. And Holly got off her, hold on just a minute. Sorry about that. Holly got off her phone call, and she walked up there, and we was talking about it. And she sat down. I didn't say nothing. I let her sit down, and he felt her sit down. I said, "There's Mommy." And he looked back, and boy, he flopped over on her. He couldn't love her enough. He loves his mommy. Oh my gosh. He loves his mommy. And let me tell you, his mommy loves him. Oh my gosh. She's the best. She's the best little mommy. And so he was happy and fine, smiling, loving on her, talking to me. And so then it was his nap time. I told Holly, I said, well, I hate to leave. I said, but I know it's his nap time. He needs to give him a little bite to eat before he goes to bed. And so I went in the kitchen to get my coat on. And I was talking to him. He had got my keys out of my pocketbook, and he wasn't going to let me have. I kid you not. And so then he finally let me have my keys, and I was telling him bye, and he walked over and he touched the either the ice maker. It must have been the water, because Holly said, oh, she just made a little some kind of, and she goes, oh, it's cold. And that just he held up again and just let out a cry. And she got down there and she held him and she looked at me and she said, he's just been so moody like this lately. So he's going through some kind of little emotional growth spurt. These children, we get mad as adults and we get frustrated. Why are you crying? But when they're toddlers, we know why babies cry. Babies cry because they need something. Toddlers, they don't know how, and it does get on your nerves. I mean, it does. Joan will call me, and the babies will be crying, and you're like, oh, I am so glad it's you, not me. I can't help it. I couldn't do it. Not all day long. I'm not that person anymore. I could handle back when my babies was babies, but I couldn't handle. Well, I handled Sebastian when he stayed here. He would stay here, for long when RJ worked that other job. For long hours, he will stay here. So I can do it. But as adults, we typically get irritated and we just want them to quit crying, but that's their emotional, they're little people in a big world trying to figure out, what are these emotions? Oh my God. Sometimes I will be in public and some little kid will start crying and I'll tell David, what the difference in him and me is? He can get away with it and I can't. Because sometimes I just want to start crying too. I just want to wail out and just let it go. I can't get away with that. But there's some little something emotionally, I guess he's trying to figure out in his little world in our big world. And so whatever that is, he'll get over it. He'll get through it, but that's what he's going through right now. So she picked him up. He says, tell Momo, love you, bye. So he told me, he said, love you, bye. So he was okay enough to say that. He got his little snack, whatever that was he wanted, and she got his milk and took him in there. He drinks it out of a sippy cup, but I guess that's his lunch drink, So that was my yesterday. When I come back from Holly's, if you swing left, you get back over on the main road to come to my house. If you take a right, that's Wanda's road. Just go right down the road and there's Wanda's. And I thought, I was sitting and there was a car in front of me and we was at a red light. And I couldn't decide. Do I feel like going to Wanda's? Because it was only a little after 12, so she was way plenty open. Or do you want to just go home? And I said, just when you get up to the stoplight, just see which way you go. So I got up there and I just instinctively turned to go home. So I just went on home. Where I turned to cross over the other side to head home. On that corner is the old CVS that is now the newest Dollar Tree in the area that I never go to, which is not that far from home. So when they first opened, they really wasn't all that great, but I have found a lot of stuff in there before. I just don't never go. I'm like, do I go to Dollar Tree or do I not go to Dollar Tree? I just went right on past it. Come on to the house. So I don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong with me. Today I'm feeling like the Dollar Tree. For whatever reason, today I'm feeling like I want to go. So I don't know if I'll end up going or not. Just to be honest with you. I know what I need to do, but it's still a little bit cold for me. I need to go uptown and walk. But I think it is still a little bit cold. During the day, it's not freezing, but it's cold. So, anyway. Well, I reckon that's all I know. I don't know nothing else. I was happy, and this is about ridiculous. When I looked out to see if the pizza man was coming, it was a pizza girl. The neighbors across the street, the house I told you what was used to be my great aunt's, and that's where Uncle Eddie used to live. I'll tell you who Uncle Eddie was in a minute. They always keep their living room blinds halfway up. Always. You can see right in there. And when I looked out last night, she had her blinds closed. And I said, thank you. I said it out loud. I said, thank you. Because I can't stand the thoughts of people looking in. You're not going to see in my house because all my stuff is closed. The only thing that ever gets opened is the door, the front door, and sometimes the kitchen curtains. But the sun hits even that block wall back there. The sun hits it and it's so bright when you go over to the window to look out, it hurts my eyes. So I usually just keep them closed. But anyway, Uncle Eddie, I called him that because if you've ever seen the movie Christmas Vacation, y'all know Uncle Eddie, Clark's sister's brother, right? Ain't that who it is? You know, the one in his whatever kind of hat that is and his robe out there emptying his his toilet in his camper, and he's a sight. He's there. He has no manners, no couth, no tact. He's messy. He's too boisterous for his own good. He talks out of turn. He's just a mess. That was my neighbor, except for he was even worse. But I just nicknamed him Uncle Eddie. Don't know where they are now. The house has been torn down. This is a whole new house. But he was a sight. At least when he was there, though, when I was sitting out on the front porch, I would always have some kind of Uncle Eddie story to tell you because he was always doing something. Like, he went out there one time. Now, I've told y'all, some of y'all have heard this. But he went out there one time, and it had rained. I mean, it was a muddy mess. And he would get mad at his, I don't know if she was his girlfriend, his wife, I don't know what. They ended up having a child, and I felt bad for that child because they were both a mess. He got mad, went out there, got in his car, and just started going up, back, up, back, up, back, up, back. Just fast as he could go forwards, fast as he could go in reverse. He had that yard tore up in the mud just because he was mad. He was out there one day with a ball bat, screaming and cussing to the top of his lungs, beating that big old pecan tree with a ball bat. I tell you, some of the things that went on in that house was just, I'll tell you what. So, while they was a nuisance, and I was glad to see them go, they were fodder for porch chat. And my next door neighbor, the one I called Old Goat, he finally died. So I ain't talked about him no more because I ain't going to talk about the dead. But y'all know all about him. And y'all know I called him the Old Goat because he was mean as the devil. Treated us like dirt. So I said it was like, Listen, I'm thinking, girl I used to work with, she said, she would tell me something. She goes, well, I was thinking it, so I might as well say it. I'm like, yeah, I guess so. Which I ain't saying everything I think. Whew, no. Y'all would be scared to be up in my head sometimes. But like Andy Griffith said about old Ben Weaver, said when it's his time to go, he ain't gonna pass on like the rest of us. He's gonna nasty away. That's what I always said about him up there. You know, he was a terrible person. And I can't all of a sudden, because he passed away, say he was this great person. I can't do that. That's hypocritical. But I won't talk about him anymore because he has passed away. So I respect the fact of that, but I still don't change my opinion of who he was as a person. So we'll leave that at that. And his wife, she ain't got no nicer to us since he's been gone. She was out there fussing at David one day because we had to put them railroad ties up where they run a drain pipe straight down towards our house. So when it rains, it just pours down into, and our this end of the house sits like just that far off the ground, and the vents are like underground. We have those little brick well things built in front of them. If we didn't have those, our under house would flood every time it rained because it pours from their house down here. And so when he mows, he has to move the railroad ties. You be sure and get them off my property. Get them off my yard. David's like, don't you worry about it. I'll get them off your yard. He ain't never once not got them off their yard. He just has to move them to mow. And oh my gosh, they touch their grass. And it ain't like pretty grass. It's just regular old grass like everybody else on the street. It ain't some beautiful, soft, luscious looking yard. It's just grass. And, yeah, she was just me. So, I guess I'll have to, well, I did. I call her Mrs. Old Goat. Listen, they say you kind of attracted to people like yourself. And if you ain't, you kind of start acting like each other. Ain't that how it happens sometimes? When you live with somebody long enough, you start acting like them. That can be a good thing or that can be a bad thing. I don't know. David, he's took on some of my traits and I took on some of his. That's just how it goes. So, but anyway, well, I reckon that's all I know. I've got this runny nose thing going on. I don't know if I've got some kind of winter allergies, but it runs constantly. Any of y'all like that? I think this little throat thing is coming from Holly and them because they come up last Sunday for her birthday party. And they had it. All of them had it. And so I think maybe a touch of that is what come from them. But that's okay. So, oh well. That's all I know. Almost 8 pounds. I don't know what else to say about it. If you've been off track and you got back on, what did you do? How did you get yourself back to it? How did you get your mentality back to where it needs to be? I know what I need to do. I know how I feel about it. But it's getting it all on the same page. It's just not happening. So what did y'all do? Give me some advice. I am asking for your advice. I'm not asking you to be mean to me because I ain't trying to hear that. I'm just asking for your advice. So, on what you did. So that'll do it for me. I reckon we'll do live tomorrow. Last week we did an hour. And while we could have kept on talking about stuff, an hour was a good amount of time for me to sit here. And 2 hours would have been way too much. Sitting down there with him yesterday, I sat for, I don't know how long. And Holly had to help me get up off the couch because it was sitting kind of low and my knees, oh gosh, they got in a way. And I'll tell you this, I said, baby, you'll have to help me up. So she come up and I grabbed her hand like that, and she started to pull. I said, let's do it on 3. I said, 1, 2, 3. And she pulled me up. She goes, oh, she said, you're so light. She said, I wasn't expecting that. She goes, oh my gosh. I'm like, oh, that was a good feeling. Even if I gained 8 pounds, that was a good feeling yesterday. So, but anyway, I reckon, far as I know, we'll go ahead and do live tomorrow. So I'll see you then. Hope you enjoyed this video. You know what I never say? Like and comment and subscribe. Do all that stuff for me. Yeah, it helps. Okay, see you tomorrow.